is Reality 007, the classroom of life. Today my topic of discussion is the impact of COVID-19 on our mental health. As we all know, COVID-19 is the disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndromes, coronavirus. And it has swept the world as we know it. It's changing people's perceptions of who we are, what we are, and we know for a fact that the life we used to live has changed. Like going out to church, going out to the grocery store, going to the park, going to the cinema, visiting with family, attending parties, just doing the general little things that we all used to take for granted we cannot do. However, we cannot take this fact away that what's happening globally is impacting negatively on people's mental health. As a clinician myself, I have actually become more acutely aware that people are starting to suffer with quite a lot of anxiety disorders. When we start to think about anxiety in itself, it impacts both children and adults. So it's not just one group of people, it affects both children and adults and may actually be manifested by excessive fear and avoidance. Some examples of anxiety disorders include panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, substance medication induced anxiety. We also have the separation anxiety disorder, the social anxiety disorder, agoraphobia, and sometimes selective mutism. It's not because they choose to be anxious, it's just that sometimes situations and circumstances and whatever might be happening across the media might impact negatively on people, and they start to have lots of anxiety and anxious feelings. There's quite a lot of symptoms, and the most common symptoms of anxiety include sleep difficulties or insomnia. In some cases it might be poor concentration. Some people tend to sweat a lot, trembling, a restlessness, tension, a nervous feeling. Some people are hyperventilating a little bit more. There's challenges controlling how we worry. Some people worry excessively without actually sometimes having a need to worry. There's when we think about the physical aspects of anxiety disorder, there's an increase in the heart rate, there's palpitations, there's gastrointestinal issues. Some people suffer with constipation because of this anxious feelings. And if you're susceptible to migraines, when you start to be very anxious and you're going through this kind of phase, that there's an increase in the amount of migraines that you might actually have, and a foreboding sense of danger or panic. Sometimes you want to go out, you can't go out because you're worried that you might actually catch this virus. Now, how can a person suffering from these symptoms manage? That is, if you're suffering from any symptoms of anxiety, how can a person manage? Number one, it's try getting a good night's sleep. Most specifically, start by not watching the news so often. Start by not concentrating on what the media is saying. It's difficult not to, because we are living in a kind of era where we want to keep up to date with what the government is saying. We want to listen to the news broadcast, but actually it's not doing us any favors, it's not doing us any good, because what's actually happening and what we're seeing and more of is that people are not sleeping, people are panicking, people are worrying. They take these thoughts, they take these information to bed, they ruminate on it, and they start to think, is it going to happen to me? Is it happening to my loved ones? So cut out the media, cut out the news before bedtime. You can watch another kind of movie, you can watch a comedy show. You need to be in a happy place. You need to do something that actually gives you a sense of joy. However, what I am trying to say is that the things that you can do to minimize insomnia, so not watching the news, having a milky drink or a hot chocolate or something. Eat a nutritious, balanced diet during the day. I know some people struggle to eat 5 portions of fruit and veg. Yeah, I do. However, try having a balanced diet. Eat a little bit more veg and fruit, incorporate it into smoothies, incorporate it into salads, incorporate it into main meals. Encourage the children, if you have young ones living with you. Given a choice, they would really prefer not to eat vegetables. However, when you slyly incorporate it into breakfast or lunchtime, making food fun to eat, you are actually looking after all the family's nutritional needs and not just yourself. Sometimes what I've actually done, which I've actually found helpful for my own family, is actually making sure we have a jug of infused water. So cutting up a few slices of lemon, sticking it in a jug and just grating some ginger into it and infusing it with hot water and keeping that top, making sure that there's actually fluid. So it helps them, it's refreshing, and they can actually be involved in the nutritional diet of the whole house. Actually doing some regular exercising is also quite good. You don't have to do anything flamboyant or glamorous. Taking a walk, doing some squats at home. If you've got a stationary exercise bike at home, using that. If you're quite fortunate and you can still fit on the saddle of a bicycle, using that in the park. Jogging, if you're able to jog and you're not too heavy, you can jog. You can use a tight skipping rope, you can skip in the backyard. If you've got a trampoline, you can do that. And just generally just sticking to a good plan that's good for you. If you've got steps in your house, you can actually go up and down the steps maybe 5 to 10 times in a day. That helps with your heart rate. It helps with creating some kind of sweat. A good exercise is the one that when you touch your cheeks, it's warm to the touch, and that you actually feel hot within yourself and you've broken out in a sweat. That's when you know that, yes, you've actually had a good workout. If you're not able to do all of this because of health reasons or because you're just not in that good physical health shape, you can actually just take a leisurely walk. That's fine. Any exercise, no matter how minute, even if it's for 10-15 minutes a day, is quite good. Also, listening to some music, some soothing music. Make sure that you've got some good music in the background, nothing too heavy, just something soothing. You can play some jazz, you can play some worship song, depending on your choice and music preference. Read a book. You can actually read a book. Anything that you find inspirational or you find you can actually soak yourself in. During this period of lockdown, it's not surprising to say that I've actually traveled the world. People might actually be surprised by that. How do you travel the world when there's a lockdown and there's a ban on flights? I actually have traveled the world. I've been to Greece, I've been to Portugal, I've been to Olympus, I've been to different planets, I've been to different continents, I've been to North America, I've been to different places. Not literally, I actually have been there. And how did I go there? In the pages of my book. I've got a Kindle with thousands of books on it, and I think that reading suits me. It helps me. It takes away some of the panic and some of the fear of losing loved ones. So I tend to read quite often, and I find it very helpful. If the anxiety continues, if you just feel I can't get out of this rut, I can't get out of this feeling of doom, I'm always anxious, I can't move, I can't think, I can't breathe, make a plan. Specifically, don't panic. Make a plan for yourself. Practice some good hand hygiene. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds every time. Listen to the government's directives on staying at home, keeping well, going out only when necessary. Speak to people. Make sure that you've got a good friend network that you can actually dip into, and you can keep abreast of what's happening. If you're on some group platforms, you can actually just read those and have a little laugh and a little chat. Avoid touching your face if necessary when you're out and about, because it does, you're transferring germs and viruses to your face, which is, your nose, your mouth, your eyes. You just don't want to do that. When coughing or sneezing specifically, make sure that you don't use your hand, but you actually push your elbow, or you sneeze into your elbow, and hopefully everything should be okay. Self-isolate if you need to, and shield at home. Understand that anxiety disorder is a treatable mental health issue, and sometimes with medication if need be. However, before you go down the route of medication, try as much as possible to do the 3 key things, which is try getting a good night's sleep, eat a nutritional diet, and actually participate in regular exercising as well. These are some of the things that would help a person to get over the feelings of anxiety, doom, or fear. And if you feel that all these things are not helpful, try to speak to somebody. Pick up the phone, call a friend, call a relative that you're very close to and speak to. I understand that in this day and time, people find it very difficult to actually want to talk to people, or they are the kind of person who just likes to keep things very constrained and they sit on it and they don't like to share quite often. That's really good. People have different coping mechanisms. However, in this day and age, sharing is powerful. Having somebody to talk to is really helpful because you know that you're not going crazy. Quite a lot of people are going through it as well. It's not easy, but we can get through it. We will definitely get through it, and we will come out from the other side with quite a lot of Thanksgiving and knowing that we have scaled the storm and that we are free to live the lives that we would like to live. In this time, I understand that there's quite a lot of fear out there. People are worried, people are struggling, finances are drying up, people's places of business aren't thriving as it used to because of the lockdown. Some people are having to close their business and actually seek assistance from the government. Some people don't even know what to do. There's lots of helpful insights on the government's websites in the different parts of the world that we all live in. However, it's also being mindful that, yes, it's affecting everyone in different ways, but we will come through it. Thank you very much. This is Reality 007, the classroom of life.